This movie is pretty good. The final fight, I guess you could call it, was kinda underwhelming. After all it built up to, I mean, it wasn't, complete shit, but it didn't last very long. Once they got into the garage, anyway. There were some tense moments before that. But yeah, they get in the garage. The daughter comes in. She just kind of stands there, trying to figure out what to do. She decides to help her. She tears her in half with the robot, while m3gan tries to manipulate her by singing a song she sang to her earlier. Then, she comes back to life. Um, Gemma smacks the doll's head open, rips the face off of it, and she's about to destroy it, but m3gan starts choking her, and then the little kid that I forgot the name of, Katie. She stabs m3gan in the box that I guess controlled like her entire brain. I guess they kind of explained it with Bruce, since she basically used the same design that she did to make Bruce back in college. But, it was more advanced and obviously way more expensive, because she took like $100,000 out of the company's budget. Which, I mean, she might not get sued now because the dude she stole the money from got murdered by m3gan. So I guess that's a thumbs up for her. There's also some genuinely funny moments throughout the movie. There's also this dude, Kurt, that's kind of a weirdo. I mean, I kind of liked him at first. He seemed like a nice enough guy. And then later we find out apparently he was watching Pornhub in work and stealing company files. So m3gan wanted to frame him for the murder. Some bullshit. Since when did m3gan care about framing people? He's like, oh yeah, you killed David, not me. And that made you take your own life. And Kurt actually had a pretty funny reaction. Or m3gan's like, and then you couldn't live with yourself. And he was like, oh, I'm pretty sure I could. I could. And then she just slits his throat. Yeah, the final sequence wasn't very good, in my opinion. But it's definitely not the worst final fight in a horror movie, but it's just so underwhelming. They also get pretty brutal to a kid, which is way more brutal than Terrifier 2, surprisingly, was willing to go, where no one kid was getting whipped and attacked. But, it wasn't explicitly shown, but in this movie, and a bit of an older kid, but he's still clearly a kid. I don't even think he's a teenager. Gets his ear ripped off by m3gan. And then there's an extended sequence of him being chased by her until he trips and gets hit by a car. It's not expected at all. They also kill a neighbor and a dog. Always gotta kill an animal in a horror movie. In most, anyway. It's just like a fucking rule. But they take forever to kill the neighbor. Like, the dog gets killed, and they wait, I think, a good half an hour before they kill the neighbor. Which, who knows how long that is in actual movie time universe. Because she actually shows up to accuse her of killing the dog to the police. The neighbor also gets a pretty decently brutal death. Most of the deaths are decently brutal. And they also had like this one thing that was at the beginning of the movie with, probably my favorite joke of the movie, where she comes home and she has this basically knockoff Alexa that I think she made, called like Elias or something with an E. Elise, I think. I'm not sure. It's only in 3 scenes. It's in the beginning of the movie, and she comes home and it tells her about all the notifications she missed while she was gone, which, including one of them, is 5 missed notifications from Tinder. Which I don't think a 9-year-old knows what Tinder is, but that's still pretty embarrassing for her. Luckily, the kid doesn't ask what Tinder is, though. Um, yeah, and there's also a therapist in this movie that is pretty terrible. I mean, she gives some decent advice before she disappears from the movie, but every other scene, she's just kind of not very good. In her first scene, she's kind of judgmental. Like, she comes to the house, she's kind of judging her for not having enough toys yet, even though this is a new living situation. Katie just got there. And she also judges Katie for still being in her pajamas and watching TV. Like, oh, I see you're still in your pajamas, and it just seems kind of judgmental. And then immediately when they go outside, she's like, yeah, the grandparents can take care of her. I don't think you're ready for this. So, yeah. The only other 2 scenes with the Elise thing are, very close to the end of the movie. The first one was near the beginning of the movie. She's trying to, do stuff with the computer because she's starting to think Megan's killing people. And, Elias turns on and asks if everything's alright. Megan actually makes quite a few mistakes throughout the movie, even though she's supposed to be super smart. Like, she leaves the kid's ear in the forest, even though she hides bodies throughout the movie. She hides the dog's body 34 feet underground, or like 34 feet away, 5 feet underground or something. Southeast, I think is what she said. And, she had like a GPS, she knows stuff, so I think she knew that car was coming, or maybe she has like better hearing. So I think she planned the kid getting hit by the car so it wouldn't look like a murder. Maybe not. And, yeah. Anyways, I think the second scene with Elise is literally just set up what happens later in the movie, because, oh look, Megan's controlling Elise, and then at the end of the movie, Elise moves, and it's, kind of clear that maybe Megan's controlling Elise now. Though I don't really know what Megan can do with Elise. She's just a fucking glorified speaker. That's, like Alexa, where they just, follow commands. What the hell is Megan gonna do in that thing? Yeah, that's really about it. Wow, there were some things though, actually, that I forgot to mention. The movie opens up with this kid that's attached to this toy, only gets a certain amount of screen time, which is Katie. And she's with her parents, and her parents get killed by a snow truck, and she survives. They're all in the same car, though. They stop in the road because the snow is like super fucking bad. They can't see shit, and a snow truck is, plowing the snow. Apparently without any lights in case people, were in the fucking road. It's not like the place was blocked off so nobody would go there. I think they briefly mention a lawsuit, but nothing really happens with that. And they also have like a line about, apparently Katie doesn't really have toys. And then soon as she comes home with Megan, she's like, I have a bunch of cool toys. There's also, later in the movie where she gets pissed at Gemma, and she's like, you don't have any cool toys. All your toys are shit. And Katie honestly had a lot of cool lines. Some of them actually weren't, fully on screen, so you might have missed them. Like, there's one where it's focusing more on Gemma and her talking about Megan, and then Katie's in the background making fun of the therapist's $5 handbag. She was pretty funny in this movie. It was a pretty decently talented kid actor. And I really don't know why they made Brandon such a psychopath, though. It was weird. He was a little kid. He's a bit of an asshole. He tells his mom to fuck off, but he calls his mom her real name, Holly. And then the next time we see him, he offers Katie something, and it's like this kind of sharp thing. I don't know exactly what it is, but I'm pretty sure it's nature related. That's a dumb thing to say. But yeah. And then when Katie tries to take it, he shoves it into her hand for like several seconds. And the only reason he stops is because Megan shows up. It just seems like a complete asshole. Then he tries to take off with Megan. That's just a straight up psychopath. But yeah, I guess that's really about it.